So there's no money making on the Nairobi Stock Exchange today because of glitches caused by the start of this trading on government bonds.
Yes, I guess it's just early jitters on the IT side. So the time I was leaving the office, these guys had actually started trading. And I guess hopefully they will resolve soon because we don't want to lose a day of trading when the market seems a bit bullish.
Just give us a sense of what this system will bring. Does it pose greater competition for the equity market, or is it just another trading platform that will make it easier for investors to trade?
In terms of competition, I guess the bonds market has already been giving the equities market competition because of the slide in the equities, the not so rosy economic outlook. Everyone has been moving to the bonds with or without the system. And the way the system actually is going to be working, it's not going to necessarily improve liquidity that much. The settlement period will become T+3. It will become actually a shorter period. And there'll be a bit of less paperwork. But the issue of actually finding a buyer and a seller actually does not happen on the system, actually happens outside. So when you actually go into the system, you actually need to go with your counterparty and say, I'm selling 100 million of 265 bond for the government to this investor, and you name your counterparty. So really, in terms of looking at how the NSC works and how this other system will be working, it's still in its infancy.
Indeed. Let's talk about equities. Yesterday we saw the market flat on the day, but very, very, very good movement indeed in the main, some of the main shares. Let's talk about the big one, Safaricom, up above that 5 shilling level for the first time in a year. It must be giving a lot of Kenyan investors very good news indeed in their pockets.
Yes, for the retail investors, for them it's a blessing in disguise. Just before Christmas, everyone is trying to sell off and, you know, put some money in the pocket and buy a chicken or two for the holidays. How, whether it will be sustained over and going above after that, anything that is run by foreigners, especially in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the recent slump was actually because foreigners stopped buying in the market or actually started selling off. So sustainability of the rise, I'm not quite sure how far that will go.
I see trading has actually started on that stock. It's up 2% now, and that's now 5 shillings 10 cents. Now, why would anyone be buying Safaricom at this time? Are there any specific reasons that should be giving this stock some legs?
That's what we're actually trying to find out. The aspect that it's actually foreigners buying. If it was retail investors or retail local institutional investors moving into the counter, then we can say fundamentally there are things changing on the ground for Safaricom, because the guys in the country are the guys who are seeing what is actually happening to the company. People know that many people are maybe changing networks to you, to Orange, to Zain, and people know that maybe there is congestion here and there. So people that are in the country will actually be better placed actually to use as an indicator whether the company actually has good results. We know that the executives of Safaricom have been on a globe-trotting trip trying to get foreign investors to participate in the market based on the information that they get from them. So it's a bit of PR that took place to foreign investors that are jumping in, aided by some news from Morgan Stanley, who are actually doing most of the trades. So there's really nothing that has changed fundamentally on Safaricom.
Absolutely. It's a story that we'll try to follow and see actually what's driving up that stock. Let's talk about the banks. Now, the banks we saw recently, the central bank reducing that key rate by 75 basis points, a surprise move. Have we seen a similar movement in the banking stocks?
No, not really. I guess in the Kenyan market, it's still a formality. The Monetary Policy Committee meets, they reduce their rate. It's in the headlines 1-2 days. They follow it up with trying to force banks to reduce their lending rates, and the story goes on and on. It really hasn't started actually affecting how banks do their operations.
But surely the banks are going to benefit from this, because if they resist reducing their rates, as has happened in the past, it simply means they're widening their profit margins.
Yes, and most of that money will just flow back to the treasury as they will buy more T-bills, they'll buy more bonds and stuff like that. But lending to the private sector and to sectors of the economy that will actually help growth will not drastically improve. Because if you look between September and October, it actually dropped from 16% down to 11% lending to the private sector, actually showing that it's deteriorating as time goes.
Would you be picking up any banking stocks at this juncture?
Not really. I don't think I would like to comment on that one yet, considering I might be holding some banking stocks in my portfolios right now. But yes, there are some counters. They can move into Stanchart just for the dividend sake next year to take a position early enough, and maybe some other banking stocks that actually give good income. Would
you be buying KQ though?
KQ, I'm still trying to wonder why it's going up.
Yeah.
If you notice in the recent past, when KQ was down and under and they brought in the new CEO, the change around in KQ, as much as we can attribute it to the new management and new strategies, I can say 60% of it came also because of the tourism boom that came to the country. And being a national carrier, they benefited from that move.
Right.
And with the news of tourism actually booming and we're getting into holiday season, people might decide to move in and take in positions as we go into next year.
So at these levels, would you be saying perhaps Kenya Airways is overvalued and perhaps it's not a good time? One has to wait and see if that stock will give up some of the gains that we've seen in the past few days?
Yes, I guess, again, there's a lot of foreign presence in Kenya Airways. So at 37, for me, that's a bit too high, considering its highest in 52 weeks, I think it's around 42, 44. So there's really not much leg room. I would not buy KQ.
Can I ask you about a story that we carried out earlier this week about Kenya Airways potentially looking at acquiring Ethiopia Airways? First, on two levels, would the Ethiopian government sell? And secondly, would it make sense, would it make a strategic sense for Kenya Airways to buy Ethiopian Airlines?
Personally, one, I don't think the Ethiopian government will sell, because in Africa, developing countries, a national airline is also like a national symbol. So they will really not want to yield, especially to a competitive country in the same region. And Ethiopian Airlines actually has been doing very good and very well, actually. They are a competitor to Kenya Airways, even close to par. So I really don't think the Ethiopian government will sell. For Kenya Airways, for them to buy in, yes, they will get all the routes that Ethiopian Airways and the extra clients that Ethiopian Airways have managed to get over the period. They'll get the expertise in terms of technology, IT, and the engineers, because I think Ethiopian Airlines actually has the best on the continent. So for KQ to buy in, it will be actually a bright move.